What a day it's been. The storms that swept through today were nothing short of intense, leaving a trail of fury in their wake. From powerful winds to heavy rain and even hail in some places, it's clear that this winter is showing no mercy. As we head further into the season, conditions are only expected to get harsher. We're facing one of the most severe winters in years, with the potential for more extreme weather ahead. The latest global computer models have trended stronger on multiple intense snowstorms moving from the Pacific Northwest into the northern plains and across the Great Lakes and the Northeast over the next couple of weeks. To start, here's a look at the latest European model ECMWF forecast for January 23rd, 2025 over the United States. We can see some snow in parts of Canada and the Great Lakes, but things are expected to get more interesting as more snowstorms develop by the middle of next week. Fast forwarding to early next week, from Sunday through Monday, an upper level low pressure system will develop over the Great Basin, affecting Nevada, California, and the Four Corners region. This system will bring some snow to the Intermountain West and much needed rainfall to Southern California. So far this season, Southern California has seen no rain, making this quarter to half inch of rain very beneficial. Meanwhile, the Northeast, including Quebec and Ontario, will experience decent snowfall. As the week progresses, another impulse of snow may move over New York by the middle of next week, bringing additional snowfall by Wednesday and Thursday. What's grabbing attention, however, is a potential significant snowstorm for the high plains, including Oklahoma and Texas. Snowfall is expected over Colorado and northern Mexico, with this system potentially becoming a major snow producer. Model forecasts differ on how this system will evolve, so stay tuned for updates. The latest European model suggests a well-organized system that may bring severe weather to the Deep South, including Dixie Alley and eastern Texas, while the northern regions could face freezing rain. By Friday, January 31st, we might see a substantial winter storm with heavy snowfall over Nebraska and parts of Kansas. This mid-plain storm system will likely move out of the region by Saturday, possibly followed by another system that could bring freezing rain and ice to the northeast. However, this forecast is 10 days out, and conditions could change significantly. The pattern indicates that more active weather in the Pacific Northwest could lead to additional intense snowstorms for the northern plains and the Great Lakes. Switching to the GFS American model, its handling of the midweek storm system for the high plains differs from the European model. Fast forwarding through the weekend, it shows a cutoff low over Southern California and Nevada, bringing mountain snowfall and the first rain of the season to Southern California, with amounts potentially exceeding half an inch in some areas. For the high plains storm, the GFS model positions the system further south and less organized than the European model. It indicates snowfall in northern Oklahoma and a significant ice storm in parts of Arkansas and southern Missouri, but it doesn't show a severe weather event. This storm could bring wintry precipitation to Michigan, the Carolinas, and the Northeast, including significant ice over Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Such an event could be catastrophic if it materializes. This outlook covers conditions through February 1st and 2nd, which remain in the fantasy land range of forecasts. Beyond this, there's potential for even more active weather in early February, including the possibility of a significant blizzard or winter storm within the first 4 days of the month. Model insights and upcoming weather events. And the Canadian weather model has been quite aggressive in its forecasts, and some might say it's been overly so. However, its predictions for the Deep South winter storm proved to be surprisingly accurate. Now, it's going bold again for the winter storm expected mid next week. Let's break it down. We'll start by examining the Canadian model as we did with the GFS and European models. The model shows the Southern California snowstorm bringing much needed precipitation, moving into the plains by Wednesday. Interestingly, the Canadian model forecasts a slower progression compared to the GFS and European models. GFS, The system moves into the southern plains by Thursday. European, the system hits by Wednesday. Canadian, it moves even slower, which could spell trouble. The Canadian model predicts a significant ice storm for Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, potentially catastrophic and historic. This scenario could unfold around January 31st and February 1st. As the storm progresses into the plains, snowfall could impact areas like Illinois and Iowa. If this forecast holds, the Carolinas, Ohio, and Maryland could also face a major ice storm. Snow, ice, and sleet totals over the next 10 days. Snowfall will remain prominent across Canada, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast, with an additional 1 to 2 feet possible. The high plains, including Nebraska and Kansas, could see 6 to 12 inches, with areas further southwest potentially receiving up to 2 feet. The Intermountain West, particularly the Cascades in Oregon and Washington, may get several feet of snow in higher elevations, while valleys receive only a few inches. Regarding ice accumulation, the Canadian model suggests extreme ice storms in northeast Texas, Arklatex region, northwestern Louisiana, and the Carolinas. These predictions, however, are 10 days out and subject to change. If accurate, such storms could bring 1 to 2 inches of ice, which would be devastating and possibly life-threatening. Jet stream behavior. The jet stream plays a crucial role in these patterns. At 500 millibars, 18,000 feet above sea level, a northwesterly flow is ushering in colder air from Hudson Bay into Ontario and Quebec. Cutoff lows, when cold air becomes detached from the jet stream, can remerge and create intense storm systems. By mid to late next weekend, such a scenario may develop over the Midwest, leading to severe weather, heavy snow, and ice storms along the warm front, coupled with strong winds. Final thoughts. While the Canadian model has been aggressive, it's worth watching closely. As January begins to wind down, we're taking a look at the long-range outlook in this video. I believe more winter weather is on the way for many areas that haven't seen much snow yet. While it has clearly been cold across the country, the cold will start to move out. We've already seen snow as far south as the Gulf Coast, which we've been discussing over the last several days. There is still quite a bit of snow on the ground in parts of Georgia, southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and even Louisiana. Meanwhile, there's a significant amount of snow downwind of the Great Lakes and into parts of West Virginia, as well as some lighter snow in areas across the Midwest. Looking ahead, the snow in the south will begin to melt. Similarly, we'll see snow melt in the Ohio Valley. However, snow is likely to remain stubborn in the mountains of West Virginia, the Northeast, and interior areas, as well as up into Ontario. And while much of the snow may disappear, it's unclear if it will completely melt in the Appalachians, where it has already been a snowy winter. More snow could also be on the way. In the West, snowfall has been below average compared to last year, particularly in the Sierras and the far southwest. Over the next few days, some moisture is expected to move into parts of Southern California and the Four Corners region, potentially bringing snow to the Southern California mountains and parts of Arizona. We'll explore this in detail, as well as discuss the retreat of the cold air and the warm-up driven by Pacific air pushing into Western Canada. The Arctic air has been mostly confined to the far north, with only limited influence on the Great Lakes as we head into Sunday. Unlike recent events, we won't see cold air driving all the way to the Gulf Coast. However, changes are expected in the west, with some precipitation and cooler temperatures across the far southwest. By the middle of next week, Arctic air may push into the northeast. Toward the end of the month and into early February, colder air is likely to reload in Canada. This could establish a boundary farther north and west, altering the storm track to bring snow into the high plains, central plains, Great Lakes, and Midwest. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook suggests a warm-up across the central U.S., with below normal temperatures in the northeast due to continued northwest flow. In the 8 to 14 day time frame, temperatures may return to near normal levels. Keep in mind that normal in early February is still quite cold for much of the country. The Pacific Northwest could see below normal temperatures if cold air pushes down from Canada, though this remains uncertain. Looking further into February, the European weekly models indicate some warming at the end of January and into the first week of February. These are 7-day averages, so the data is slightly smoothed out. However, the trend suggests below normal temperatures into February, while the Climate Prediction Center projects near or above normal temperatures in parts of the South. The weekly models paint a different picture for the continental US. How accurate are these models? It's hard to say, but I focus on the trends, and the trend points toward below normal temperatures in February. While it's unlikely we'll see snow reaching the Gulf Coast again, an event that was likely historic, it's clear we are far from done with winter weather. Currently, the jet stream shows notable changes. A strong jet streak is moving out with energy that caused the recent Gulf Coast snow. The jet stream dips in the east with a polar vortex spinning near Greenland. As this lifts toward Greenland, ridging will start to build across the eastern U.S. As the jet stream starts to buckle, we also have an upper low moving eastward. This will pull warm air northward, and it could potentially push that warm air all the way up to parts of the Great Lakes. As we head into next week, 1 week away, this could bring temperatures up before they crash down behind it. Additionally, the storm track will shift to the west coast. With the jet stream now coming into Oregon and Northern California, this could bring moisture into the region, and we'll need to watch closely. It could get very active with the storm track potentially forming something in the Central Plains and moving northeast. I'm not sure exactly where it will form, whether in this area or elsewhere. But in this setup, it would likely develop along the east side of the trough if this pattern holds. I'm going to take a closer look at the pattern shift before we discuss the precipitation and get a clearer idea of what's ahead. This is different from what we've seen recently with the jet stream now driving into the west and still some troughing in the east. That could bring cold temperatures below normal. The polar vortex will continue influencing the Great Lakes, funneling cold air into the region, but it may not drive all the way into Texas or the deep south. So yes, I think it will stay cold as we head into February. Now let's look at precipitation heading into the rest of the week and the weekend. I'll move through this quickly, but we'll keep snow showers in the Northeast. The cutoff low will bring snow and rain to Southern California, some of which could be heavy, 5 to 10 inches of snow at elevations between 3,500 and 4,500 feet. With that cold air aloft, some relatively low snow levels are possible for this part of the country. Heading into next week, another system will bring snow to parts of southern Ontario, along with another shot of cold air that will kick up lake effect snow. There will also be rain showers across the Gulf Coast states and light snow in the Northeast, though no major snowstorms are expected right now. Meanwhile, there's a cutoff low moving down to the south, disconnected from the main flow in the upper atmosphere. A decent jet stream is also forming on the southern side of this low. The big question is, will this low form into a storm? It's too early to know for sure. It could look like last night's European model, but it's still too soon to say. Either way, it looks like things will be active around the 1st of February, and I'll keep monitoring it because I think something is brewing. Let's move ahead in time. This is a very interesting look. Remember that cold air I showed you that's been bottled up in parts of Canada? As we head into the 4th and 5th of February, the European model shows a lot of cold air. If you look at the forecast model, you can see tightly packed isobars at the surface. This is that Arctic air damming up against the Rockies. This could bring some really cold air. And while it may not push all the way to Florida, it could set the stage for some February surprises. just for fun, if you take the European weekly model even further into March, you'll notice that the pattern is kind of all over the place. But what's interesting is that there's no indication of a warm up across the east. It could be much colder in the west, and this could make for a very stormy March. I can't believe we're talking about March already. I know it's long range and I get that it's uncertain, but I wanted to share these thoughts. I don't have all the answers, but if you have any comments or thoughts, let me know. Make sure you're prepared, whether it's securing your home, stocking up on supplies, or keeping an eye on weather alerts. Now is the time to take action. Don't wait for the storm to hit. Precaution is key to staying safe and keeping your loved ones protected. Stay tuned for more updates, and remember, safety first. Stay warm, stay safe, and stay alert. I love hearing from you all. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for my next update. I'll keep you protected before and after the storm.